Did you see in the movie theater they had a poster for AC/DC?
Yeah.
And I was like, who made who? I was like,
Who the fuck made this? I'm like, yes.
The demons are they blaming?
And I was hoping there'd be an AC/DC song on this, but there wasn't.
Probably too expensive.
This would have been perfect.
Would have been like $1 billion.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like, what's that one line you always say? Oh yeah,
Standing like a demon, no.
Like a dynamite.
it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Who made him?
Oh, it's like, I should just
This
like
episode
this.
is a double-edged sword.
I should just dress like this every podcast, and it's an improvement to my massage. Do you think?
No.
He's a true friend, folks. Ah,
Whoa!
it's fucking zombie week.
Zombie week.
Even though I'm a fucking ghoul.
So let's get that straight right off the bat.
Yeah.
It's zombie week, yet I picked a movie about mummies, and you picked a movie about demons. What happened?
I fucked up.
We didn't understand the assignment.
Yep. Just like Robert Zombie.
Yeah.
Speaking of another zombie that fucked
He's
up.
more zombie than zombie week.
That's true. I'm like, dig in the ditches.
Mummy week.
Yeah, so Tombs of the Blind Dead is like,
Mistakes were made.
they're like skeletal men that
They're living mummies.
they're like knights, yeah, that came back to exact their revenge, and they're sentient, and demons are, yeah, demons. In my defense, I fucked up.
No, I would still say that,
Yeah,
like, that's a technicality. These are still zombie movies, in my opinion.
yeah, I think technicality is also that they're zombie movies, because I read a list, and this is where I found out about Night of the Demon, or Night of the Demon. I think it's another film, Demons, and it was like, you know, oh, I forgot my Templar sword. I'm gonna run at the virgin that's tied down and slice him 100 times and make no marks to him. Oh, it's like, I should just
This
dress like
episode
this.
is a double-edged sword.
I should just dress like this every podcast, and it's an improvement to my massage. Do you think?
No.
He's a true friend, folks. Okay, so this is episode 90, Zombie Week, Tombs of the Blind Dead, and Demons, and
Both European movies.
yeah,
Some interesting picks from us.
Tombs of the Blind Dead was what, a Spanish-Portuguese, and then Demons is like what, an Italian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right off the bat, it's like Lucio Fulci, or not Lucio Fulci. It's
Lamberto Bava.
yeah, someone completely different than Lucio Fulci. Has no bearing on him. I don't know. Speaking of zombies, just in general, zombies were like for a long time like the hottest thing ever. Like, I remember we have talked about this before, but like, you know, Night of the Living Dead, and then all the George Romero films and stuff, and then looking for that next piece of zombie media that was going to be like the next big thing. What do you think about that as far as zombies? Do you think they've kind of like run their course, or?
No, I think it's a genre that could, like, you could always make a zombie movie with some kind of twist.
Yeah,
but
I think video game zombies have kind of run their course. I think they kind of beat that shit to death, possibly. Depending. I think it's maybe time for a resurgence, but there for a while it was like everything in the 2000s was like they just put zombies in something and called it a day.
Yes. We were into them before they were cool in the 90s.
Yeah.
Before Walking Dead became the most popular show in history.
Yeah. Surpassed Citizen Kane, the TV show. You talking about a fucking rosebud? I don't know how much longer I can wear this mask. Just kidding, it's my face! Where the hell is my skin? Ah! Just like Kevin McAllister.
Need some aftershave.
He's a... Look, why did he just put aftershave on his face without shaving? Who knows? Are you ready to get into one of these films?
Let's do it.
You know what? Let's just go ahead and start with Tombs of the Blind Dead.
I think that's a good idea. Get the vegetables out of the way before you get to the candy.
Yeah. The vegetable. So, this one was your pick, right?
Yeah.
I always forget on these because it's like we have similar tastes for the most part. So, what do you want to say about this as far as like what you... I mean, like how you found out about it, I guess. Not really explain yourself, but you know what I mean?
I mean, I'd known about it for a while. I saw it maybe 10 years ago and remember thinking it was kind of cool.
Right.
And I wanted to revisit it.
Was it like when you were in college and stuff, you remember? Like around that time?
It was probably after that, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, 10 years ago. Wait, what am I talking about?
But...
Where the hell did my life go?
I mean, I just wanted to do something different for Zombie Week since we've already, seen all the classics of the genre.
Classic.
So, did I do good or bad? We'll find out.
Yeah. Was this something that you like found? Was it part of like a pack? Like, did you get like the Tombs of the Blind Dead like pack?
No, I didn't even know that there were sequels until this time around doing some research.
Nice.
And I really just remembered one thing about the movie that I thought was cool.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it's a bit forgettable, some of it.
Right.
But, that's why I picked it.
Okay.
And have you ever seen it?
No. I'd never seen this. I had heard about it. It's like one of those deals where it's like, House by the Cemetery, a bunch of different like Italo horror kind of deals, and it's like, by and large, a lot of these films are kind of, I don't know.
I will say, like...
Even though this isn't even Italo horror.
Yeah, it's Spanish, but...
It has that feel to it.
I like this movie overall. I think it's cool. But it's like all style and no substance. Like barely anything even happens in this movie.
Yeah.
Like if you describe the plot, it would be like 5 words. Like
yeah.
A girl gets killed by mummies and then her friends go and get killed by mummies.
Right.
The end. But the way it's done, I think, is kind of cool in some ways.
So this was part of the Blind Dead series. Like you said, you didn't know that there were sequels, but there's Return of the Blind Dead, which came out in 73, The Ghost Galleon, 74, and The Night of the Seagulls in 75. And there's like a new one that they're pitching or something.
Nothing? The one thing more scary than zombies? Seagulls.
Yeah. Medieval knights executed for their black magic rituals come back as zombies to torment a group of vacationing college kids. Ah!
So there's multiple versions of this. Do you know which one you watched?
Versions? No, I didn't know there were multiple versions. Actually, okay, so that might be a lie. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and fucking take this off. I can't breathe anymore. I'm like...
It's not coming off.
I'm dead! Actually, I gotta take these off.
The zombie.
Ah! I'm like... Yeah! I'm like, he chose poorly. This is now an Indiana Jones review. That was a question.
Nice mic mask.
Ah, thank you.
I wanted to talk about a few different versions of this.
Oh, yeah. So the one, when I first tried to get a hold of the thing of this, it started off as a dubbed version, and then like 10 minutes in, the dub stopped and the original language came in, but there were no subtitles.
Nice.
So then I had to find...
You don't really need subtitles in this movie, though, honestly.
That's true. Having said that, you don't need, like, however long this movie is. What, an hour and...
90 minutes, maybe? I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, it's like an hour and 40. But you don't need, like, 99% of this film. But...
99%! That's...
Good lord.
Nice exaggeration.
But
there's a few different versions. Like, there's an uncut version, which is the one I watched.
I'm not sure which one I watched, but maybe
then there's
an
international version that was, like, trimmed down.
Mm-hmm.
But the funniest part is there's a version that, like, a U.S. distributor picked up.
Uh-huh.
And this came out in, like, the early 70s. And they repackaged the movie, and they called it Return to Planet Ape.
Planet Ape?
Planet Ape. And they tried to, like, shoehorn it into the Planet of the Apes universe, because that was popular at the time.
Wow.
And they changed, like, the story around so that they were actually apes instead of, they were like ape mummies instead of human mummies. Which I'd like to see that version. But what a stupid title, Return to Planet Ape. It's like, I hope we don't get sued.
That would essentially be like Return to Earth. So, yeah, I guess when we get into it, I don't know what version I watched. I guess it'll depend.
There's a few scenes that I'll point out,
Yeah.
and you can tell me if they were in the version you saw or not.
Okay. I'm assuming I watched an unrated version, but just because of some things that happen in it. So, yeah, there's definitely some positives, like you were saying about this. Like I like the locales
Yes.
in the derelict castle that they use.
Me too. That's like my favorite part of this movie is the
Yeah.
atmosphere. It's very cool. It's very like Halloween-y.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie is pretty much all atmosphere because there's barely
Mhm.
any story. So it's like just lots of scenes of people hanging around in a creepy castle.
Yeah, it's a little. It's like there's like you said. It's like they have like a cool set piece. Like it's amazing to make a movie on.
The ending, you mean?
What was it?
Oh, the set itself.
Yeah, the set.
yeah.
Sorry, yeah, and it's awesome. It's just a little not shameful. It's a shame that, like you said, it's kind of like light on actually stuff happening. Yeah, they've got like a jump out scare with the skeletons. Hand goes like against the thing, and there's like a scream, and it's like, okay, well, time to go into the film now. Yeah. Some lady talked about how she has like a shop by the cemetery, and you kind of go, or wait, no, that's another movie. Actually, that's the Demons movie that has like actual footage of like mannequins being made, right?
Mannequins being made?
Or there's like a shop or whatever. No, I can't remember, man. Both these movies I watched so close together that there's certain things that kind of interlap. Like she talks about how she had a shop that she made mannequins.
Oh yeah.
And then in the Demons, there's like actual like a mannequin shop as well. So I kind of got confused there. I was like, wait a minute. But she talks about it, but you never actually go to the mannequin shop, I don't think, in this film.
I think there's like a couple, like one scene that's...
Maybe she like calls or something. It's
Yeah.
like, I won't be here.
So to get it out of the way, the different versions, like the cut version,
Mhm.
I think has the flashback scene at the very beginning. So it starts with like the knights back in the day when they commit their atrocity.
Yeah.
Whereas in the uncut version, it's like a flashback in the middle.
Like, yeah, there's like a Van Helsing character that like essentially in a library talks about like what happens with the knights, and you know, they were a sect of like the order, and they
The Knights Templar.
they went perverse. They went heel on God and fucking started worshiping Satan and all this other stuff, and they were slicing women up and stuff.
Yeah, and that was one of the big things that got cut, is like they basically strip a woman nude and like slice her up and drink her blood. Basically,
Yeah, they like
to perform their unholy
they, like,
rites.
suckle on her, and it's really weird.
It's so gross.
But
that's something different than like the ghouls who
Mhm.
like eat people. These guys just
Yeah.
want to drink blood,
right.
and that basically makes them become undead mummies.
Yeah, they become like punished and like hung, and like crows and birds take their eyes, and then when they come back, I guess due to Satan's power, maybe, I don't know, they're literally blind.
So like what we just described is like the most badass movie I could ever.
Yeah.
Like it's a cool like premise, I think, for a movie.
Yeah,
But-
it's like the first like 20 minutes and the last 20 minutes, like cutting everything else out in the middle is what that movie is. But there's other things that happen in this film that kind of like aren't a part of that.
Yeah, the other thing that was cut was like the horrific rape scene.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Which
that
there's no need for in this movie.
Yeah, I actually, I had a note about that too.
That should have been cut because
yeah.
it was totally unnecessary and gratuitous.
It was unnecessary, and it didn't even fit into like.
It didn't have anything to do with the story.
Yeah,
it was like,
it's
let's
like
just put this
you
in
thought
for its
maybe
own
it
sake.
was going to be something where like the guy, like the dudes would show up and kill the guy before he rapes her, or like her friend shows up and stops him, but no, she just gets like straight up full bore raped.
And then they just continue on afterwards like
Yeah.
nothing happened. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, what?
Yeah, I mean the guy like after that does get like killed by the people, but it's like he's already committed a rape, so it's like there's no,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, there was some weird stuff going on. I guess if you care about the story at all in this, there's some weird stuff going on with like whether or not like people are with each other. Mm-hmm. Everybody seems very like open about their relationships in this film, and I don't know if that was just like a thing for this film or whatever, but it was like
it was swinging Europe, baby.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like the first two people were together, and then he's like, oh, we're just friends, and then he's with this one lady, and then she's like, actually, I don't like men, because she had like a lesbian relationship with like the other lady, like their friend in the beginning. So she's essentially a lesbian that gets like raped by a dude, which would be like, it's horrible. It would be like, I could see that being a setup in a horror film for like a revenge movie, and I'm sure they've done it many times, but it's like it serves zero.
Yeah, exactly.
In this film. But having said that, then there's like these other people. The dude that rapes the chick, like he is with this other lady, and she's gets with the first guy, and it's like it's just all over the place. But that's how they kind of like pad it out as like these relationships that are just there, I guess.
Yeah, so the main girl basically jumps off the train, which is kind of cool, and then she goes into the forbidden tomb of the blind dead. And I like all those scenes where she's like sneaking around the castle and like makes a fire and is kind of chill there for the night, which probably not the best idea in the world, but
yeah, it makes like zero sense. But it reminded me of like the first dungeon in Skyrim with all those like Draugr assholes.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you go down there and just set up camp? But like when she jumps on the train, I have a note here about how it reminds me of in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That dude's like singing Jimmy Crack Corn. You remember that? It's like Jimmy Crack Corn and I don't care. And Pee-wee's like, ah, and like jumps off the train because he's so annoyed by it.
Nice.
Sadly, it's not like that, but it just reminded me of that because that's the only other movie I've ever seen where somebody, I think, just straight up jumps from a train, like, of their own will.
Yeah.
Unlike in, what is it, the one Daniel Craig movie with Batista, where, like, Jinx, or what's his name? Hinks. Is like, shit. Or he's like, oh. It's like, Walking Sim.
Yeah. Well, this is Walking Sim, the movie.
Yeah, I was like,
because basically it's the same scene that just gets repeated with the other characters later.
And they're talking about like stylism. There's like the European echo. Like there's this somebody going on the synthesizer and stuff, and just echoes and stuff.
Yeah. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, random undressing scene, par for the course for this time period for horror films, especially. Listen to the radio, smoking cigarettes, in the crypt.
Fun times.
Yeah. Styrofoam coffins are moved by skeletal hands and demonic forces.
So what'd you think of the look of the zombies, aka mummies, in this movie?
Yeah, and some of the scenes, especially like close up, they were really, really good.
Yeah.
You could tell when it was farther away, they were just literally like somebody like this, because they didn't have enough masks. But having said that, when like somebody had a mask on, it looked really, shockingly good. It's like, I think this is what, sadly, which is kind of more confusing that they didn't have more of them on screen, because it's not like they didn't have the, like, it's not like it looked bad.
Yeah.
So it's almost like one of those things where maybe they only had like that area to shoot in for like a day or something.
I think they had limited budget, and like they basically made as many mummies as they could. But yeah, I think they look really cool. I really like how their hands are like skeleton hands. They're like little they're not like actual. Yeah. They're like little puppets. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really cool looking.
We've got undead dudes on live horses. And I guess animals really are non-judgmental, because later on, one of their, like, horses helps the other lady try to escape. So, like, it's just, like, they're like horses in Skyrim.
It's a living.
Give a shit, yeah.
But that was the thing I told you about that I remembered, like, the scene where they're all riding horses, and it's kind of slow motion.
Yeah.
I just thought, like...
It's like Lord of the Rings when, like, they're running away from the ring race.
It looks like the cover of, like, a metal album.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool looking. And that's probably the thing I'll remember most about this movie.
Yeah.
The rest of it's kind of forgettable.
Yeah, honestly, like, the best parts of this movie, I hate to say, happen from, like, where she gets killed before and, like, when the zombies show up in the last 20 minutes and to the end.
It's the zombie antics.
Yeah, and in the middle, it's, like...
Put it on mute, enjoy the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And
put it on mute and somehow enjoy the atmosphere.
Maybe not mute.
Put it on mute and watch
Put your mind on mute.
Put it on in the background and read the Knights Templar Bible as you get ready for the coming storm.
Speaking of which, I watched this movie a few nights ago when there was like an actual storm happening outside.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, that always enhances the atmosphere.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man. Like, you definitely have to be in the mood for these kinds of films because a lot of these, like, European and, like, you know, Italo horror and all these other films, like, are very, for whatever reason, a lot of them have, like, slow builds, and sometimes they don't really deliver on that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like you have to be in the mood to, like, almost in the same mood you would watch, like, an older film, like a noir kind of build kind of deal. Yeah, so they, like, you know, the lady was bitten and beaten. What a fate. Terminator Dark Fate.
The fate of that franchise is dark.
Yeah. Lots of shots happening, or lots of shots of nothing happening, so if you're, like, a lover of old architecture and castles, it's pretty...
Yeah.
It's a dream.
Like, this is my dream.
The credits were legit for that, too.
Yeah.
Egyptian crosses used for satanic rites, aka an Ankh. Let's see. So they pretty much come upon her, like, shoe, and a random dude comes out from behind, like, a doorway, ghoul style, like, for no reason. He ends up being, like, one of the inspectors or something, but he's like... and I'm like, why? But it's, you know, it's funny for the scene. They find her dead. Yeah, she was like...
You done?
Yeah, bitten and, like, they beat her to death. So, like, this is probably, like, another thing of where they're filling time and, like, they don't give a crap about dialogue because they have stuff where they say none of her wounds are serious with big, you know, there's big chunks taken out of her, and they say, oh, none of her wounds are a big deal, and they say she bled to death. I say, okay, but her wounds weren't serious, like,
because they drank all the blood out of her. They were ravenous for that grape juice.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this makes no sense. These bites come from a sadist, several sadists, and they say, oh, this wasn't sexual at all, and I'm like, okay, so she wasn't raped, and sex wasn't the motive, but they were sadists, which a sadist is a person who derives pleasure, especially sexual gratification, from inflicting pain or humiliation.
You got called out.
So they fucked
Tombs.
up.
You're done.
It wasn't even the movie, it was the guy, the coroner. He's like, these are sadists. And the one guy's like, several sadists. Like, how do you know it wasn't just one guy, like, biting her a bunch?
It was 2 sadists and 2 companions.
She gets killed, and some dude's like, he's like, ding, ding.
Like Marv Albert.
Yeah.
Remember that? So, Google it. Tombs of the Blind Marv Alberts.
For some
He's like, yes! Tenacious D!
Guy messing with a live frog. Okay.
I was just glad that, like, you don't
was
see animals
weird.
getting killed in this movie.
Yeah,
You see that
I was
left and right
expecting,
in these,
usually in Italian films, like, they're blowing up fucking animals for no reason.
Yeah, or, like, cutting up snakes and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I don't
It's
want
like-
to see that.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Not only do I not want to see it, I don't want it to be done.
Just go over off camera and do it. I don't give a shit. It's like, damn. She was just asking to be bitten, and she was really hot. And I was like, dude, this is like The Undertaker's just like a creepy fuck in this movie.
Yeah.
So did you notice the rip-off, like, James Bond theme when they're going, like, so, like, after the dude gets bitten and he dies, like, the Undertaker, they cut to the next scene, and, like, as, like, the two main characters are walking into this, like, library, they're playing, like, it's not the main James Bond theme, it's, like, one of the other themes for one of the movies, and it's just kind of, like, a straight-up rip-off. I can't remember which one it was. It's, like...
Tomb Finger. It's the tomb. The tombs of the blind.
So we already talked about like the guy that was talking about their what's it called? The Knights, like
the Knights Templar.
Yeah, they were like sucking
sacrifice
on her and stuff, and you know all that kind of weird stuff. And I'm gonna run some names for these some Templars by you that I'll let you decide what you think. Right. So I'd say we've got a bunch of freaky friars, abnormal abbots, pervy paladins, grotesque gallants, titillated Templars on our hands.
Well,
had to do some Googling.
You just won the podcast. A+.
Titillated Templars.
Abnormal abbots. Abbots!
Abbots!
Well done. I love it.
He's like, yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I have a note here and I don't remember this. It says some fucked up dummy play. Do you remember what was that about?
Yeah, there's a scene in the mannequin factory.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because it
kind of makes no sense and has nothing to do with the rest of the movie.
Yeah, it's like an actual kind of like scary looking face that she's like messing with the eyeball to like get it just right. But then like after she gets it right, she's like fucks up the eyeball, and I'm like, okay.
He's like, oh.
So it was this film. Zombie waited among the mannequins to jump out and get her. Couldn't open door. She locked her. So I guess once you get bitten and killed by these Templars, you rise back up if you're still alive.
I guess.
But like other people don't. So, but she gets burned to death. AKA, there's like a flame in front of the camera, and she's like, I thought it was kind of funny. They like trick the Pedro guy. So like this is the rapist, the guy that shows up. Pedro, he's like this criminal or whatever, and they like for whatever reason go to get his help. I still don't understand what their plan was. They went to go kind of like make sure he wasn't involved, but then the first thing the guy says is like he's like, I didn't do it, and he's like, I believe you didn't. And I'm like, well then why are we here? So essentially he brings this guy along and like her, I guess his like girlfriend or like lady he's sleeping with at the time, and like he's like, I knew you wouldn't want to go, you're a coward. And the guy's like, when are we leaving? And I'm like, so he tricks him into going. But yeah, this guy essentially goes just so we can have a unnecessary rape scene like in this film. Yeah, there's a lot of when the ghouls show up, people like don't move. They're like, oh shit, and they like don't even make a break for it. Yeah,
they just become like slunk meat for the blind dead.
They become like paralyzed.
But that is another cool touch that I liked, where I mean they are truly blind. Like they can only go off of sound. So
because the lady screams and then they're all like,
that was a cool little touch. Made it a little bit more scary.
Which actually kind of made it funny at one point because they all come in shambling into this like room, and the one lady's like screams, and they're all like, "Huh?" They're like scared or something. It's like, "Huh?"
They're like, "Cheese it!"
Yeah,
feet
like,
don't fail me now.
They like all go over to her at the speed of like a snail's shit. It was like,
yeah, this final like zombie attack, like massacre, is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's legit. And then like, I don't know why they didn't do this before, but like they chased the last remaining like lady towards this train, and I thought for some reason there would be like a thing where like they couldn't leave the cemetery due to some forces, but they get on this train and they like butcher everybody, and then like I'm assuming they continue to do it to other people, but I'm like, Then why didn't they just like leave before? I guess maybe they just
they were never provoked. I guess, but there's one shot that I thought was pretty extreme where like you see they're like basically ripping everyone apart on the train.
Yeah.
And there's this little girl,
and
like her mother is getting killed, and her blood like splashes on the kid's face, and you can tell this kid in real life is truly
like horrified. Also, there was weird.
You don't see that too often.
I think that like that actually kind of makes me wonder. Like at first, I wondered why this happened, as far as like why what I'm about to describe happened, but it kind of makes sense now that you brought that up, and I'm thinking about it. Like she's freaking out, and like one of the blind dead's hands goes and kind of like comforts the kid, which I was like, why wouldn't it kill her? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that was actually like an actor that was in, and they didn't want to refilm it.
Could be
because the kid was like, obviously they didn't want to traumatize the kid anymore, but like it was like the kid's like the mom's dead, and like the essentially the hand's like and I'm like, it's like, good lord. But yeah, like you said, it's they chase after this lady, and like she gets to the she eventually gets to the train, but like the dad never comes out. He's like, leave her, and then he finally like helps at the end, but by that point it's he's like wasted so much time when he could have like helped her, that essentially he gets himself, his son, and like everyone else on the train killed because he doesn't like he didn't like help her. And throughout this whole movie he's a dick anyway. He's just like fuck everybody else. And then
he reminded me so much. I couldn't stop thinking about Roger Lodge from Blind Date. Remember that dude? Remember that dating show from like the early 2000s? Bad Date? Or what was?
I don't know. I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
It was like a reality show.
Was he like an asshole or something?
He was the host.
Okay.
He was like the smarmy host.
Okay.
What was that show?
He's like, fuck her, leave her to die.
Roger Lodge. Google it.
Was he just like an asshole or something?
No, he just looked exactly
like he looked like him. Yep. Okay. I'm like, he wasn't a train conductor and left people to get killed by blind deadmen. Yeah, but having said that, yeah, like this in part was pretty cool.
Yep.
Except for like, I don't know. I guess this wasn't like horrible, but it was just weird. It was like they did like a Night of the Living Dead thing where they just showed like a still photo, and then they had like an audio clusterfuck over it, and then it was like monks chanting, and I was like, pure inspiration. They were like, oh.
I thought I shouldn't have said turn the score or the sound off. Because like the monkly chanting is very creepy. It's like, and then I also love the sound of the ghouls themselves, because they're like, it's like very like subtle, like low key.
Like, you're like Loki from the MCU.
The Mummy Cinematic Universe.
The Mummy. Just do that from now on.
The Monkly Cinematic Universe.
They're like,
out of me. So yeah. That's pretty much all there is to it.
Yeah. Cool. I think we probably described more about it than it probably deserved, honestly.
Cool monsters, cool atmosphere. I would recommend this movie, but, it's not the best movie we've ever seen.
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those things where I don't know if I can, like... So, like, if you're, like, a fan of, like, these kinds of movies, so you've probably already seen it. I don't know. It's like I could recommend if there was a cut of the film that like cut out like an hour and 30 minutes of it, and it was literally just the beginning and end.
I enjoyed having some of the atmosphere in there, like when there's not much happening. I just thought it was kind of cool environment to hang out in for a little while.
Life's too short
for some things.
That's
I agree.
True. Such as this. No, I don't know. Like, I didn't hate it or anything. I just found it to be kind of like a waste with some of the ideas. Like you said, like when we described it at the beginning, it's like, this sounds. I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe the sequels are better, but I don't know about that.
I'm interested to check them out. I'm sure I'll watch them at some point, but
I think that's maybe the only reason why I'm interested is because it can't be any they can't have less of them in it, can they?
Watch yourself, counselor.
Yeah.
Be careful what you wish for.
What I wish for, or want them to be more of them. Thus making the film watchable. No, I agree. I mean, there were parts of it that, like, there are things about this that, like, are when the mummies are like this, whatever, the fucking Knights Templar aren't on screen. But it's very like, what are we doing here with some of this? Like, you know, like you said, I think a lot of this is like they had to fill some time.
I remember back in the day when I would see like, back in the day, old trailers.
Yeah.
A lot of times to like sell a movie, they would say like, this movie is filled with incident.
Yeah.
And like, this movie is not filled with incident. Like, barely anything happens.
Yeah. Filled with incident.
It's like, I love incidents. The more, the better.
Oh god. Yeah, it's. Yeah. So,
What score would you give Tombs of the Blind Dead?
So, like, when I wrote this review, I was a lot angrier than I was after going through it. Like, I'm definitely not as angry now, because, I mean, days have passed, and I just watched a fucking rape happen for no reason in a film that I just sat through, boring shit through in some scenes. Not all of it, was like that. It was just, like, certain things, and then, like, an unnecessary assault happened. So at the time, I was pretty livid. And then I saw, like, the ending was actually pretty legit, and it made me think, oh, man, this would be nice to see where things went from here, to see, if...
Like, I wonder if they could incorporate Seagulls
into this. They went into a city and, like, tried taking over and killing people and stuff, or, it became, like, a plague or something, which is cool. It's weird that, like... the way that, like, they kind of did it where, like, maybe from this point on there will be something. But like I said at the time, I guess if I had to rate it when I first wrote this review, I wrote down, like, a review of, like, 3.95. I was fucking pissed.
Whoa.
But after talking about it, more and stuff, I'd probably give it, like, a 5.
All right.
A little bit better. And like I said, I've cooled off. And like I said, it was mainly like I wasn't hating it all that much. And then, like, that rape happened, and I was just like, dude, fuck this movie. Especially after going so long without seeing any actual, like, like, zombie action again. It was kind of like watching a freaking Scooby-Doo for like 20 years, and you're like, okay, is there ever going to be anything else happening? Like, I don't know. That's probably a horrible analogy, but I'm trying to think if there was I will say, like, a lot of the points for this come from, like, just the design of it is really cool, and the look, and the actual Blind Dead themselves is such a waste, because they actually look so... They don't look bad at all. Like, there's nothing about them that I think awesome. Looks cheap. So it begs the question, like, what the fuck happened? But not to the point where I'm like, this is, like, the worst film. I'm not like, fuck this film. I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of on the middle of the road with it.
All right,
which is, I guess, 5.95? That's what it is.
All right.
But perfect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No flaws.
No flaws. No flaws. All balls. What do you think?
I'll go 7.95. My usual answer. I like it.
Every movie, even if it's a perfect film, 7.95.
I like it.
You're like, I love it. 7.95. You're like, there's not a movie better than this film. 7.95. Yeah, that's totally, like, respectful. That's respectful. That's respectable, and I totally, like, see where you're coming from on that. Like,
yeah.
Cool. I got so heated, it was just like, when I was watching it, so I think that's what also affected, but I think everybody has their own, things about, like, what sets them off about films. That's why we have different scores. I'm like, as usual, we're both doing the exact same score. Fuck it.
I think we have had the exact same scores.
We have, but, I mean, we only have, like, a 9.95, like, 9.95, like, scale, so it's like there's not many...
there's infinite possibilities.
9 possibilities.
Yeah.
Because we don't do, like, margins, I guess. We don't do half stars, so it would be like half whatever's. Half things. So I guess since this is your last, or what the fuck? This is your pick. What else do you have to say about this?
What, Tombs of the Blind Dead?
Yeah.
Nothing. I think we covered it.
Okay.
Okay. Should we move on to Demons, the true zombie movie?
The other fuck up. I'm like, listen, guys.
So,
I prepared a statement.
Why did you pick this one?
This was on this was on another list of like zombie films that like I had never heard of, but like you know, because whenever we do these for the year, I'm like, I go online. I'm sure you probably do too, and look like, I mean, I know you have a bigger like movie knowledge than I do, so like I was just straight up like, I want to go online and I want to like look for like lists like, you know, best zombie films, and of course obviously like all the normal ones come up and stuff, but certain lists have named this one and stuff.
iZombie?
Yeah. A movie where a dude rips his own cock off and he's jerking it. Yeah, so this one came up and I was like, huh, and like the synopsis does not make you think that, at least the synopsis when I first read it made it seem like it was like a zombie film, like a straight up zombie film.
Mm-hmm.
But when I actually did research and like looked into it more, like for what's it called, like this week to get like the synopsises ready, on IMDb and on Wikipedia, both of them state like they're in the theater with a horde of ravenous demons. But
that's
like
true,
you said,
but it has all the tropes of a zombie movie. Like it might as well be a zombie movie.
To a degree, yeah. I'd say this is like less of a zombie movie and more of a what's it called, like
monster movie?
Yeah, kind of, but it's like it's definitely more like, I wouldn't say like demons, because demons are more so like straight up like you think of possession and all that kind of stuff. This is more that like weird thing that you get with Italian horror, where like that one movie where like that priest looked at a dude and he fucking threw up his guts and died or whatever, like just straight
House
up
by the Cemetery.
Yeah, stuff where it's like weird stuff you would never think of, but it's almost like cosmic horror, like Cthulhu, where it's like, you know, people get bitten and they don't like die and turn into zombies in this. They get like scratched or bitten or something and they do turn, but they go through this weird like Resident Evil like metamorphosis first, which is cool. But
mm-hmm.
it's and they like, they're very powerful, it seems like. So it's like skirts that line, but I agree, it's like, it's very like, it's got all the markings of that, but it's like it's definitely set in, designed by something in this film. Like there's something that happens that kind of sets all this off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deus Ex Demona.
It's like, but yeah, this came out in '85, like we said, Italian horror film. Produced by Dario Argento, and directed by Lamberto Bava. Yeah.
Who sometimes directs under the alias John Old Jr. Which makes me think, wouldn't John Old Jr. be John Young?
Ah! Holy shit. He's a few steps away from Weak Jim Old.
Yeah. It's his cousin.
But yeah, essentially, it's like a bunch of people get random tickets and like invitations to come to see like a complimentary film, and they find out, like, you know, it's not what they think it is, and they're trapped in this with a horde of well, at first it's like one, and then it kind of starts, I mean, it's like zombie things, it starts multiplying. So this is like Quentin Tarantino, where it's like when they were like Quentin Tarantino presents, it's like that kind of a thing where it's like Dario Argento presents at the beginning of this film.
Yeah.
So this is essentially, he's like using his clout to like kind of help other people out, which is, I respect that.
Yeah.
Music is awesome right off the bat for this, I think.
Yeah, I think the music kicks ass in this movie. I think this movie kicks ass in general. I'd seen this before, and I remembered really liking it. I thought this time it kind of dragged a little bit at times.
Yeah.
But I really was wishing like we actually watched this together or watched this with like a group of people.
Yeah.
So I think it would have been way more
This is
fun.
definitely one of those films that like back in the day, if we had rented it, it would have been like a good time.
Yeah.
This is the first time we saw like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit.
This is made to be watched with like a group.
Or like, I kind of missed that like back when we like watched like Blair Witch, like all together and stuff. Like rent it from Blockbuster or something.
Yep. Get some cans of Surge.
Yeah.
And
and have like conniption fits because we drank so much dog shit. We've got a Phantom of the... I don't think this is what it was. It was like... Maybe it was Phantom of the Opera Ride remix music. It's like when she's like in the subway. It's like... Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. And I was like, holy shit.
that's cool.
And it showed like some random dude like... And she's like, what the hell? And then she's like scared of this guy that has like this thing on his face. It's like the Phantom of the Opera's like half mask kind of thing.
But like Terminator style.
Right. It's like silver.
So what do you think?
And he like scares her.
What did you think of that character?
The guy with the mask. I was like, well, among the top 500 characters, I'd say he doesn't make the list. I thought he had a cool look, but he really only kind of is in it for a bit and then kind of shows up again at the end. Spoilers, like.
Yeah, well, I thought that enhanced the movie quite a bit though, because like they never explain who he is, and he kind of sets everything in motion. So it's cool to have like that mysterious aspect, kind of.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't really say he's a character. He's just a guy that's in the film. Like, I
What's the difference? To me, that elevated this movie.
One sucks. But no, I'm not like trying to shit on him. I'm just saying he did. I guess like thinking back, like in the list of things, like this was the first like kind of thing you see in the film that could be considered like off. And I agree with you. It was just like I think at the time, if I was watching it going down through it, I would say like that was inconsequential at the time, but just a couple minutes later, you think like, what the fuck was that all about? But like,
so he gives everyone tickets to like a sneak preview of a movie, which made me ask, have you ever gone to a sneak preview before?
No. I don't think I've ever been given a pass to one before.
I went to one for District 9 back when that came out.
Oh,
I forget how that happened.
Wait, maybe I did go see District 9 or something. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. That sounds familiar though, because
So you have?
Yeah, maybe I have. I can't remember. I'm just trying to think because maybe I have and I don't remember it. But
Like they made us put away our cell phones and everything.
Yeah.
That was a cool experience.
The movie was great.
Yeah,
I loved it. But like,
apparently you didn't love it enough.
what?
You're like, I have never gone to a sneak preview.
Well, I mean, my memory's not as good as it used to be with certain things like that.
Same.
One of the things, I mean, it's weird because like, I mean, I probably had like gone to the theater probably like, I've gone to the theater a few times in my life, like quite a few, but not enough for me to like remember all the times I went. I think it would be the other way around. But one of the things that reminds me of the theater is like when we went to see The Lost World and they gave us those posters. I still have mine like up in my room or whatever.
Yeah,
like
that was awesome.
They're like, here you go. Here's posters to Jurassic Park: The Lost World, like the second film. And I was just like, holy shit! So that's like one of the only things that and every time I've taken you to those Dragon Ball movies, and they always have like that Q&A beforehand where it's like, talking about this and that with all the voice actors, and it's like, dude, these people don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Of all the people involved with the movie, they contributed the least.
Yeah. They didn't write the script, shockingly, and they don't like live these characters. But like, speaking of the Phantom guy, giving out the pamphlets, she's like freaked out by him and stuff, and then like he's like, here's a pamphlet to like like a film, and she's like, oh, okay. Then she like goes up to him later and like when he's dressed like that, and she's like, are you dressed like that for the film? I'm like, what? No, that's just how he normally is, like, and he just so happens to be dressed like, what the fuck are you talking about? I thought that was pretty much, I think, the only thing that happens in this film. Okay, that's a fucking lie. I was gonna say that's the only thing that happens in this film that's, like, the dialogue's weird, because, I don't know, for some reason, like, dialogue sticks out to me whenever I hear it, when it's, like, kind of, like, weird or funny, so I like to bring it up. I'm sure there's other notes here, but that was the first time I was like, they hit it out of the park with the first line of dialogue.
So one of the things about this movie is, like, it has a soundtrack filled with, like, 80s like, hard rock hits. What did you think about that?
I liked it. I have a couple notes about some of the songs in this that I really liked.
I thought it was very cool, but the flip side is it kind of, like, dates this movie really bad. Because I was thinking about, like, this movie and Day of the Dead that came out the same year.
Yeah. Like,
that has a score that's, like, timeless. And you could watch that movie and be like, dude, was this made yesterday? Like, it's...
yeah, you totally could.
Well, compared to Demons, where it's like...
Because now malls 80s. Totally exist still. But no, I know what you mean.
No, Day of the Dead.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Day of the Dead for sure. Dawn a little bit less so. Something you didn't bring up. Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. Well, that's like Romero never really used any music like that to like as far as in those zombie films where it was like branded like stuff, and I almost think like that definitely helps it, like you said, not only avoid like, you know, when it came out, but also,
I mean, Demons is a very different kind of movie from Day of the Dead. Like, Day of the Dead's much more serious.
Yeah.
But it was just interesting how, like, music can totally date a movie.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those things where, like, yeah, it's funny because, yeah, Day came out in the same, you know, like you said, same stuff, and it's, like, definitely, like, you would think, like, they came out in the 80s, but it's, like, I think it also helps that, like, it was filmed in an area that really hasn't changed, like, an underground place. Like, that place wouldn't really change from then to now. Whereas, like, yeah, this is also, like, the way that people dress and stuff like that, and, like, especially the music. But, like, it helps with, like, Romero's, because he, like, didn't put any music, and even, like, the news broadcasts, I mean, obviously, like, in night, it's, you know, the way that, but you could also see, like, somebody coming on the TV and doing a national state of emergency kind of thing like they did, and it wouldn't be out of the ordinary, you know, now. But, yeah, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Did you see in the movie theater they had a poster for AC/DC?
Yeah.
And I was like, who made who?
I was like, who the fuck made this? I'm like, yes.
The demons are they blaming?
And I was hoping there'd be an AC/DC song on this, but there wasn't.
Probably too expensive.
This would have been perfect.
Would have been like $1 billion.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like, what's that one line you always say? Oh, yeah.
Standing like a demon, no.
Like a dynamo.
It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Who made him?
So,
I'm gonna pick Maximum Overdrive soon, dude. It's coming. I'm telling you, it's gonna be awesome.
yeah, you fuck. I guess we'll save the story for how I even learned of that song for them. But yeah, like, there's a line here where some couples walking in. Don't start. It's our anniversary. Who cares? I'm taking you to a show, aren't I? I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
There you have it.
What'd you say?
There you have it.
The other guy was not having it. I cut myself. That'll teach you to touch things. Was this dubbed?
Yes.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, sometimes it looked like it was, like, the mouth looked like it was actually not bad, but, like, the audio was just so off, it was like, people don't fucking talk like this. Like, two randos start making out hardcore, blind man is like, then we come to our first demonic transformation, and it looks really good.
Yeah,
well,
the
I guess, like,
are,
monster. Yeah, it's like...
I really like the look of them.
They play up on that, like, gross Italian, like, you know, if you're bitten or if something's happening to you in these films, and for the worse, it's, like, the worst it can be. Like,
it's extreme.
Yeah.
But it's, like, all practical effects, and they're awesome in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's probably the highlight of this movie, are the effects.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They're great. and super gross.
And then we've got people watching a film in a film. So I don't really have much more to say about it.
All I have to say is at one point there's like someone behind the screen like poking out, and someone's like, "There's someone behind the screen," and I was like, "What is this, Duke Nukem 3D?" Like,
he's like, I'm assuming that was a film made for this film.
I'm not sure.
I
assume so, but
because I could not. Blind man was left by his helper, and he's the only one left in the theater. I don't know why I thought that was hilarious. He's like the only one in there, and he's like, "Help!" And it's like he's just sitting there, and it's literally the theater. It's just like nobody's up there with him. This note, I'm not even gonna say it. It's fucking. Who gives a shit?
I really like the look of this movie. Like,
Yeah.
It's super colorful, and like it's very like bright primary colors, and it just looks it's cool. Like there's always something interesting happening on screen.
Right.
Although it does kind of get repetitive, and towards the end I was like, all right, I'm ready to wrap this up.
Yeah, it kind of suffers from like Blind Dead kind of thing, where it's like like you said, there are things that happen where it's like
the characters. I mean, this is like a slasher basically.
Yeah.
Like it's not about developing characters. It's like it's cannon fodder basically.
People are getting, and people you think might survive are not going to survive.
Yeah.
It's like it's essentially like pre-Walking Dead, where like, oh, this guy's getting a lot of screen time, he's dead. Demon ties the kissers' heads together and they like bleed. I didn't really understand what happened.
The kissers.
Yeah. I didn't understand.
Get over here, kissers.
There's a line where a guy says, "Look at her fingernails." I'm like, how? From that far away. She's like up on stage and everybody's just like... Lady turns into a prop and her tongue is like a snake. Her head's like...
That was cool.
Yeah.
Pretty much this whole movie is just a demon massacre.
With they kill the demons.
People trying to escape and like use chairs to ward off, like instead of boards. in Night of the Living Dead.
It's like Alien
chair
Apocalypse,
action,
where it's like instead of the aliens killing people, it's Bruce Campbell killing all the aliens. It's like, wait a minute.
But did you notice they had those like wooden chairs? And I was like, all I could think about was how uncomfortable those would be to sit in. Like,
not only that, but like when they were ripping those up, like it's like that pimp guy was like, "Get this shit up here! What are you doing?" And I was like, who put this guy in charge?
I love that guy's look because he has like the handlebar mustache and sideburns, but shaved head.
Yeah,
it's like, dude,
he essentially has like what I've got going on here.
If you shaved your beard off, you should have done that.
I should have.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah, just like when I did it for Mario, I didn't look like a freaking weirdo or anything. Guy got hung. Teeth fall out and are replaced by sharp fangs. It's like very gross. Like, what the hell is this? But it's disgusting. Like, it's cool, but it's also like, dude, I can't be eating while I'm watching this shit.
Right, exactly. The fangs like make it for me. Like,
it's very like Nosferatu, like too.
And sometimes they're like pointing out at weird angles, and I'm like, that is correct.
Yeah, I'm like, that makes sense. Rando old man gets grabbed, and then I put a thing here that says, "Bet this blind guy is going to survive the whole thing," and then he gets fucked. But I honestly
backed the wrong horse.
Well, it was instant too, but it's one of those things where in these films I could totally see that happening, where like somehow the only guy that survived was like the blind guy that they didn't go that way. Black pimp guy is like, "Quiet, let's find the emergency exit," and like he's screaming. This lady says, "I don't know how to explain it, but it's the movie that's making this happen." Tony the pimp, she's right. She put on the mask and scratched herself. Get it? Because of that scratch, she became a demon, an instrument of evil. And like they said in that damn movie, you heard it? We've got to stop it. I tell you, we got to stop the movie. I'm like, dude, this is like some ridiculous dubbing. Like,
that's the power of movies.
Yes,
they can create demons.
That's true. And the people that are in this situation know exactly what's fucking making it happen instantly with no evidence. What are you waiting for? Stop the movie! Smash everything! Smash everything! It's like, I think this guy that played the pimp was having like a lot of fun.
Oh yeah,
it's like the guy.
He's the one character I remembered from this movie.
Yeah, he's like the yeah, but yeah. Then we've got like the punk show up, and we've got
That's my favorite scene in the movie is just the punks like hanging out in the car and like listening to cool 80s songs.
It's like if they never arrived in the theaters, I could have sworn this was just additional footage they fucking made for this because it has nothing to do with
or
the
just
rest of
footage
it.
of actors like going to the set.
Yeah, but it's like they start playing "We Close Our Eyes" by Go West.
Yeah, it was a cool song.
Hell yeah!
They drove by like. I don't know what city they were in, but it looked so cool because it was like all neon.
Yeah.
And they drove by like this music store that was huge, and I was like, dude, I want to be in that store. like,
right now.
Yeah, as opposed to watching this movie.
I'd rather be in this store.
The biggest laugh for me was like they're doing cocaine, and someone spills all the cocaine like everywhere, all over the car.
Yeah, that guy fucking flips out.
And he says, "Pick up every grain, or I'll kill you." I was like, dude, he's not messing around. Every grain?
Yeah.
And then they do, like, meticulously.
He's like he's like, don't waste a single dram. Speaking of ridiculous dialogue, there's more from Tony the Pimp. He says, "What are you waiting for? You son of a bitch. You ain't worth shit." I'm like, this guy's like us playing Captain Kick-Ass over here.
Exactly. Every good zombie movie has Captain Kick-Ass.
Yeah. But yeah, did you already mention like with the cocaine, like how they're using it? They've got it in an actual Coca-Cola can, and they're using a straw to stealth. Like
very clever.
Yeah. So the pimp gets bit by the lady, and then the guy that was hung appears, and they all tumble over the balcony. I thought that was like probably one of the coolest things in this film. And he's like being destroyed.
The movie theater is a good setting for a survival horror movie, I thought. Like, it was cool.
Another hit, White Wedding by Billy Idol.
Yeah, good one. A good one. You know your judo well.
Your judo well. Oh, man.
This is Demons Manifest.
They're like... Yeah.
Sorry.
But anyway, after you said about like the whole guy like Ripper, this other guy says in his best Ben Stein delivery, "Ooh, that's big Ripper talk." And the guy says, "Don't make me laugh, baby pig. This shit's concentrated." Like, what is this?
I love Ripper. I love such like an 80s punk name.
Ripper. The guy's name, Baby Pig. This one, do you think this will stop him? No, but don't tell the others. I'm like, wait, then why are you doing this? You should just try to leave. This is a part where it was probably like harder for me to watch than any part of this film. There's a part where like when they're cleaning up like the cocaine, one of the dudes like uses a razor to like clean it off like the lady's boob, and I was like, I can't watch this because like. And when it finally happens, when he cuts her, it's like he cuts her like right here, but it happens where you could tell it's literally just like a dab got put on there and it was fake. But I was like thinking like
it was a good moment of suspense.
Yeah, I was
You're
like,
right.
Gonna fucking cut.
It's hard to watch.
Cut a nip here, and I was gonna fucking recoil. That was probably the most horrifying thing in this film.
I think you're right. A moment of true horror.
Yeah. Blind man crawling, lady starts flipping out, old man turns demon. So yeah, like the old guy that's like blind turns like into a demon. He goes fucking heel on these cops, starts fucking with them. Really cool. So like really cool shot of like the demons coming upstairs with eye shine, which is like on posters and stuff, and it's like. Not sure how they did that. I'm sure they had like something in their eyes or something. Like
I'm not sure either.
Or something.
It was a cool effect.
Yeah.
Iconic. Pure
absolute chaos breaks out. Demon smashes someone's head with a chair. He was like smashing it down, and I'm like, okay. A super demon comes out of like this lady and scratches a dude, and he like.
Is that the back demon? It like comes out of her back.
Yeah,
she's
it's like
on her hands and knees.
Yeah, because she's a demon, and then they like. Fuck her up, And then, like, she's like, okay, well, I'm going to release, like, a real demon. And then it, like, comes out of her, and then it's, like, never seen in the film again.
That was awesome, though.
But it was
like,
cool.
Surprise!
Yeah, he, like, comes out, and he, like, scratches the friend. And then he, like, wants to die by the sword. But they do, like, a not showing it kind of thing. They, like... Yeah. And then this dude gets on a dirt bike and goes trials on 360 style.
So this movie features a guy riding a dirt bike with like a katana sword, like slicing up demons. Like that's an automatic 7.95 in my book. Like that's awesome. Like what more do you want in a movie? I loved it.
Yeah, I wouldn't automatically give it a 7.95, but
every movie should have a dude on a dirt bike and with a sword. Like even Citizen Kane.
Was that before dirt bikes were a thing?
I think so. Well, maybe not. Maybe there's a deleted scene.
like in Night of the
Who
Living
made
Dead.
who? Yeah.
What's his face? John. What's his face with Night of the Living Dead with the added scenes?
Oh god.
He's like, Motor. We gotta have a dirt bike in this scene. The cemetery zombies like
The video games they played.
It's like what? Like before video games were invented. He single-handedly kills like everybody in the theater, which was ridiculous.
He was driving over the seats themselves, and I was like, "How is he doing this, dude?" Like,
they reminded me
Trials
of
is a good example. There's no way.
What's his name? Like something Benini, like the actor.
Yeah.
And
Roberto Benigni,
yeah,
when he won the Oscar.
He like ran over these seats, and it was like the funniest thing ever. He won.
Dude, he should have been on a dirt bike.
Yeah,
that would have been awesome.
Like going over the seats while he was standing up on the dirt bike. Like it's like what?
They give him super Oscars.
So guy turns into like a ninja, and it's like Wild Stallions is playing. It's just like, yeah, this is essentially like pretty out of control. And then like a helicopter comes through the ceiling, and at the time I wondered why, but later on in the film, in just a few minutes, you find out why. So this guy essentially turns into like Ash because like he's got like the he's got like a button-up blue shirt that has the arms ripped off for no reason. Like there's no point in which that happens. It's just he essentially transforms into like Ash from like
I'm sure Evil Dead was a huge influence on this
Yeah.
movie. There's a lot of Evil Dead stuff in here.
Yeah. But like we were talking about earlier, the guy from the beginning with a mask like shows up, and they rappel up through the ceiling because they aren't using the helicopter because it's like fucked. But they're using this like grappling hook and like winch to get out through the ceiling. And that guy shows up on the roof and like tries to throw the hero off, and like he's like holding onto rebar, and like they spend the next 5 minutes like lining him up to try to like push his head onto a fucking spike, and he finally dies. He's like, yeah,
good stuff.
But yeah, that guy's a demon. So the end of this is pretty cool.
Yes.
They finally get outside, and then this is kind of how it's alluded to that the helicopter fell in, because at first you're like, what the fuck is this? This is like, obviously the motorbike is pretty ridiculous and all this other stuff, but at that point you're like, why is there a motorbike, or why is there like a helicopter that just like flew in? Like, this isn't like Rambo 12 or whatever. Like, so it like there's like absolute like mayhem going on. Like it's pretty much like everywhere else in the city or wherever is like run over by like demons and the zombies as well.
Yeah, you turn on basically the
yeah.
apocalypse is happening.
Right. Which is like you find out that it's like worse outside than it was inside, which is ridiculous. But like they get like saved by like a gun-toting family and like
Jeep dudes.
Yeah, and they're like, okay, well, we're going to go to the country and stuff where, like, hopefully there isn't anything going on. And then at the last second, like, after the credits a little bit, like, the lady, like, goes towards the camera and she's like, nah! And she's, like, turned into a demon and, like, the sun blows her away. And they drive away, and it's like, okay, that's a pretty good setup for a possible sequel.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Basically, like, driving off into the dark of night.
Yeah.
uncertain about the future.
Yeah. But the end music is like somebody gave the job to the dude from the Super Mario Brothers Super Show because it's out of control. It's like, rock me Amadeus, rock me Amadeus. And I'm like, okay. But yeah, the end of this was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
Pretty good stuff.
I liked it. And there is a sequel, Demons 2, which I've seen, and I remember it basically being just as good, except it's like they're in a high-rise apartment building this time. And then there's an unofficial sequel called Demons 3: The Ogre, which I've also seen.
When I looked stuff up, I did see something about that, and I wasn't sure what that was about.
That was not very good. I remember wishing there was more ogre in the ogre movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird because it's like, the way they set this up at the end, it's like, oh man, they can go anywhere with this. They could, so it's kind of weird that there wasn't a bunch of these made. I'm assuming like the practical effects were probably a big factor for that, maybe, or I don't know.
I assume so.
Because they started off so strong, but then again, we've seen many franchises that started off like super strong with like the practical effects, and then as time goes on, they like get worse. I mean, they're still practical effects, but they like kind of look like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, good stuff.
I liked it.
Yeah,
I think it would have been a lot more fun, like I said, to watch with a group of people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Hopefully next time we watch this, we'll do it that way.
The end of this was probably the best part for sure. It was just like, holy crap. So, yeah. Do you have anything else to say about this film?
I think we covered it.
What do you have to say about it for score-wise?
Can you guess?
7.95.
7.95. It was good. I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, I gave it that too. 7.95.
Nice.
Yeah, not really anything. Like, it was good, but like you said, there was like kind of.
It was a good pairing with Tombs of the Blind Dead, I thought, because that's like much more slow, and this is much more like extreme chaos. So
yeah.
They work well together.
A lot of them have like, or both films that suffer from like swaths of time where like stuff should have been cut out.
Yeah. My only complaint is like this about Demons is my same complaint about most slasher movies. Like at some point it just gets kind of repetitive.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I don't have much to care about in this.
Right.
The effects are cool.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Well, it's mainly because it's like you were saying, like, what is the point if you've seen the exact same thing happen like 15 times in the film, just in different ways? It's like probably why I can't really.
Don't tell that to the Halloween franchise.
I can't be bothered to give a shit about like Friday the 13th or
Right.
like Nightmare on Elm Street or
I agree.
most of the Halloween stuff, because it's like, okay, why do people like these? It's like, why don't you just watch a fucking like compilation of like, I mean, I guess that's what that is. You could just go online on YouTube and watch like, all the kills from the Halloween films, and you pretty much get it. But it's like, there are standout ones, but it's like, who cares? I guess people do care, but I'm sorry. Sorry, that's your life. Okay, so what's next week?
Werewolf Week.
It's gonna be a howling good time.
Thanks a lot.
He wasn't very thankful. So, once again, I forgot who picked 2.
You picked 2.
I picked Bad Moon.
Okay.
From 1996.
Nice. That must mean that I picked Silver Bullet from 1985.
By process of elimination.
Yes.
I think should be some solid picks.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I'm excited.
And you haven't seen either one of these?
Yeah.
Nice.
They were both ones that I'd wanted to see for a while. It's just
cool.
I've never gotten around to them. Yeah. So I guess, do you have anything else to say really, as before I talk about the ending here?
Demon Week in the books.
Demon? Yeah, seriously. I guess that's what this. Well, no, because the other one was just like Crypt Keepers. He's like, is anybody still alive that was in that, or that like made the or not demons, but tombs?
Yeah, the main girl. I've seen quite a bit of interviews with her.
She can like conventions and stuff, or just.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
but about how like the director made her do her own stunts, like jumping off the train and like rolling down that hill, and she got really hurt. And
that sounds horrible.
She didn't want to do the like lesbian stuff, but the director made her do it anyway.
Like, kiss.
Yeah. So
that's fucked up, dude.
She said her and the other actress drank a bottle of wine, and then they did the scene.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of tell in that scene it's a little like, I don't know. I guess it kind of plays to like how one of the characters acts, but it's like, anyway. So I guess until next week, everybody. Check us out. We've rebranded the website, or not the website, the YouTube channel, and it's just called Buddy Shotz now. So check us out on Buddy Shotz, but still on all social media for now. We're SteakBelmont64. So we'll see you Tuesday, every Tuesday, for these episodes, for these ghoulish episodes. So do you have anything to say?
Werewolf Week will be a howlingly good time.
I know, I'm pretty excited, honestly, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, should be fun.
Yeah. We're going to claw our ways into your hearts.
Until next time.
Yep.
Bye.